Boston mayor's elected of color event sparks backlash after email error. I've been seeing this headline for a while, so I've never had a real chance to really look into this story. So an email went out, right? Okay, let's see what this is about. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu has faced more backlash after hosting a party for elected of color, barring white people from the event. Wu, the Democrat mayor of the Massachusetts city since 2021, has defended the party after people became aware of it on social media. All 13 members of the city council were invited, but this was a mistake, and invites to the 7 white members of the council were rescinded. So they took back the invites of the people who are white of the city council? This comes at a time when the racial divide in America repeatedly makes headlines. It does, that's true. We love putting race on headlines about everything. Controversy, race. Oh, it gets people to click. Shoot, I'm reading it. Over the summer, more than 45% of Americans said racism is a big problem or the biggest problem facing the United States, according to a new USA Today Suffolk University poll. About 38% of respondents said racism is a problem, but not one of the biggest facing the nation. Only about 14% of Americans said racism is not a problem. We've had individual conversations with everyone, so people understand that it was truly just an honest mistake that went out in typing the email field, Wu said to ABC. I look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties we have. Wu pointed out that other holiday parties were being held which people of all different ethnicities could attend. Does this mean that there's multiple parties, but there was just one that excluded white people? Is that what she's saying here? She continued, it is my intention that we again be a city that lives our values and creates space for all kinds of communities to come together. The accidental email was released by Wu's aide Denise Dos Santos, who has since apologized for the error. I did send that to everyone by accident, and I apologize if my email may have offended or come across as so, she said to the counselors in an email. Sorry for any confusion this may have caused. So is it just that they got caught, or Newsweek approached Wu and each council member for comment via email. Wu has argued that the party has a group that has been in place for many years and wants Boston to be a city where everyone's identity is embraced, but this has not stopped outrage online among some. No whites allowed at Mayor Michelle Wu's Christmas party, one person wrote on X. One person on Twitter, really? Are we gonna really base a lot of things on one person's comment on Twitter? It's a cesspool of negativity. Another said that Wu must be held accountable. Okay, let's not quote people from Twitter, please. Many argued that Wu, of Taiwanese descent, had committed a discriminatory act, but she maintained that it was normal for people of color to gather for social events around the holidays. I mean, it is, if this is all true, right? I'm going to look further into the details, but I'm going to pause right here. Discrimination is discrimination. It's colorblind, right? Person of color, not of color. I mean, I kind of wish that terminology was no longer a thing. Because, I mean, everyone watching this video is either white, or if you're not white, you probably have a loved one who's white, or someone you care about is white. I'm not saying you should be offended for them, but you should have some kind of a disappointment. Like, this kind of stuff is just ridiculous. The party was attended by Wu and council members last night. This was probably dated, not last night, literally, right? It was dated 14th, so it's talking about the 23rd. Fellow Democrat and outgoing councilor Frank Baker said he found the rescinded invitation diverse, but wasn't personally offended by it. What are you going to do about it? He told WHDH, you don't want me at a party, I'm not going to come to a party. Baker said that the Boston Herald, he wasn't sure what the reasoning behind the mayor having a separate party based on racial lines was, but said he didn't think it was a good move given the recent tensions on the city council. I find it unfortunate that with the temperature the way it is, that we would further that division, Baker said. Councillor Brian Warwell, also a Democrat, defended the party in a statement. We make space and spaces for all kinds of specific groups in the city and city government. There is no different, and the elected officials of color has been around for more than a decade. Councillor Diana Fernandez Anderson made a similar comment. She said many groups celebrate and come together in various ways, and it's not about excluding anyone. Instead, it's about creating spaces for like-minded individuals to connect and support each other. So is that the new thing? Making space? Are we going to have parties? Like, there's a club that opens up in town. They can just say, oh, no blacks allowed. We're just making space for everyone else. It's just another, like, terminology to get away with something. That's exactly what that is. In March, 5 restaurant owners in Boston sued Wu, claiming they had been discriminated against because of their white Italian ethnicity. I remember there was a time where Italians were not treated as whites. I mean, not personally. I mean, this goes back with, like, Chicago mob, New York mob, that people did not like Italians, right? I mean, today it's not like that. I digress. Court documents said Wu made a joke in a St. Patrick's Day speech in which she said, I'm getting used to dealing with problems that are expensive, disruptive, and white. Is that necessary? The suit took issue with an order that restaurants in the north end of the city require licenses costing $7,500. Parkings would cost an additional $480 per space used. Wow. It is commonly known that the traditional owner of a restaurant in the north end of Boston is a white male of Italian descent, the complaint said, and the north end is generally regarded as the last true ethnic Boston Italian neighborhood. Newsweek has reached out to Wu for comment. She said, NBC Boston at the time, we stand fully behind decisions that are to ensure residents can live in their neighborhoods with ease of access, safety, and opportunity. I think that's that it with this article. Before I get into my opinions, statements, judgments, and all that, I want to read the original email. So let me look for that. Okay, this source shows a screenshot from Denise Dos Santos, who sent the email. It says, Honorable members, on behalf of Mayor Michelle Wu, I accordingly invite you and a guest to the Electeds of Color holiday party on Wednesday, December 13th at 5:30 p.m. at Parkman House. Okay. I'm trying to find where it specifically says white only, right? Type of thing, right? I get it's of color, but who's to say white people can attend, and we can celebrate people of color and their accomplishments, and we're so diverse, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, I found this on Fox News. So take that with a grain of salt. Fox News loves this kind of stuff. This here, shows the same email, right? And then this paragraph says, a response to Dos Santos that I wanted to apologize for my previous email regarding a holiday party for tomorrow. Dos Santos wrote to city council members. I did send it to everyone by accident, and I want to apologize if my email may have offended or come across as so. Sorry for any confusion this may have caused. This exclusionary invite and criticized Wednesday by one white member of the city council as unfortunate and decisive. So if I'm understanding this correctly, an email went out to just basically everyone by Dos Santos, right? Denise Dos Santos. And when she should have, in the first place, pick people who are not white, which is probably a subjective matter. Because what if you're half, right? and she meant to send it to people who are of color, right? I mean, if you're excluding white people, that is discrimination in itself too. I'm not claiming to be white. I'm of a Latino descent. Although my race is marked sometimes as white and the ethnicity is Hispanic. That's another topic. But that is unfortunate to have that kind of mindset. Be most appreciated if you're just like, hey, we're gonna have the celebration of diversity and people of color and what they've accomplished, right? Instead of just like straight up not invite white people or assume to be white. You know, you assume their race. How dare you? Of course, this comes from Fox News. Let me see if there's another out there. So USA Today put down, in what she called an honest mistake, Boston mayor apologized this week after an email inviting elected officials of color to a holiday event by accidentally sent to every council member, according to multiple media reports. Mayor Michelle Wu, the city's first Asian American mayor, said that the mistake was made by her aide, Denise Dos Santos, sent the email to all officials instead of a select few. Okay, that's still discriminatory. Honorable member. Okay, that was the email that I just read earlier. I mean, is it still just okay, so that's about it. So I haven't had anything. Okay, they apologized and it went to everyone when it should have gone to a certain group that intentionally excludes white people. Is that the apology? I haven't found anything that was like, hey, we met the. I'm getting confused now. Maybe someone in the comments can mention something, but like, you sent the email out to everyone, said, sorry, this was only meant to people who are not white. If that's what I'm understanding, what I found so far from like 3 different articles, that is in itself discrimination. That's racist. That's racism. Some people will call it reverse racism. That's a stupid terminology. Racism is just racism. If you're intentionally have ill intent towards another race, whether it be someone against who's white, who's black, who's Asian, who's brown, whatever, that's just not cool. It's not something you should do and inspire children to do. It shouldn't matter what color of skin you are, what your background is. You know, the sins of your fathers and great-grandfathers should not carry over to the children. So this is very unfortunate that this happened. And I read somewhere that she's married to a white dude and has kids, right? I mean, like, like this here says, her aide uninvited white counselors to the yearly event for the electeds of color. Like, you're just probably better off just sending that email to everyone, knowing, hey, we're celebrating our diversity of people who are of color, and I'm saying that with air quotes, of color, and their accomplishments. We would like you to attend, Mr. White Counselor. That probably would have been way better than we're just not going to invite white people. And if this was, I mean, it doesn't say this was meant to be a secret event, right? So I'm just like blown away by the confusion of all of this. I think I can't really draw like, maybe I'm so confused. I just can't draw like a solid conclusion to all this. Like, is this what really went on? Was this really in their heads? Like, hey, we're not gonna have white people in this event. That's like so not cool. Like, these are your coworkers. These are the people you have experiences with. So I'm not saying I'm offended for white people. I am disappointed in Michelle Wu and her staff for having those type of thoughts, like, hey, we need to exclude white people in our events, because I'm lost for words on this. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Maybe I am processing this incorrectly. Please mention that. Please correct me. That's totally cool with me. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care.